So now I want to follow up on something that was last week. I had talked about the pricing of the RAV4 Prime was coming out and how excited I was because my wife really wants a RAV4 Prime, and I fully endorse that. Well, so this week in TechCrunch, I saw that the Ford Escape plug-in is being announced with very similar specs as to the RAV4 Prime. What's interesting is this is the 2020 Ford Escape plug-in, and I'm kind of surprised that I hadn't heard about this before, being that it's the 2020 model. But I'm just now in June of 2020 hearing about the specs.
Same.
And what they're saying is a 37-mile all-electric range before the engine kicks in. And they're saying, the pricing is going to be, right around $34,285. So $34,285 for the Ford Escape, which compares to the RAV4 Prime of $39,220. So it's $5,000 less.
Wow.
And so, there's a couple of things. And unfortunately, Matthew's not on the show tonight because he sent a lot of really good information in an email. And I'm just going to have to quote him on some of this, which I found was really interesting. And I was hoping he would be here to be able to talk through it. But it turns out that the Ford Escape, so we had mentioned, I think we mentioned last week or maybe in a previous show, the RAV4 Prime essentially looks like it has two Prius Prime batteries shoved together. So the two 8.8 kilowatt hour pack that is in the Prime gives the RAV4, that is in the Prius Prime, gives the RAV4 17.8 kilowatt hours of usable batteries. But the Ford Escape essentially is two of their Fusion batteries wedged together. But because Ford went with a smaller battery in their sedans, taking two of them and putting them together for the Ford Escape plug-in actually only comes up to I'm looking. I forgot what he said. 14.4 kilowatts. Thank you. And where this is particularly interesting is that in some locations, and it's Canada, incentives are based on battery size. So the RAV4 Prime's 17.8 kilowatt hours actually qualifies for $5,000, but the Escape, because it has a smaller battery of 14.4, only qualifies for $2,500.
Yeah, the cutoff was 15.
Yeah.
So here in the States, the cutoff is 16 to get all of it. So even here, they're throwing money away.
Right. But
and they still have on the table
$17 per kilowatt hour. So how much did you say the Ford pack was? How big?
14.4.
It's 14.4. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're only going to lose like $1,200
versus Ford still has all their credit, so they're pissing away money for the customer and for themselves.
That's true. Why not make it 16? Come on, round up a little.
Just put in two D-sized lithium round cells.
So you get two big packs and a couple of D cells.
Yeah, those are in the glove box.
Yeah.
They would have to, of course. Matthew's argument they would have to completely reconfigure the batteries in order to get a bigger pack, instead of just taking two existing packs and putting them together.
Yeah, but they should have known that from the beginning, and when they made the vehicle, thought of all of this and designed it, it would have given them a little bit more range. It would have qualified for incentives in all of North America. It would have been better all around. And yes, it would cost a little more, but if that gets you a little more incentive, that's a wash, and you get a better vehicle out of it. Why not?
Well, it makes me wonder, Patrick, and I'm glad you brought that up, knowing that the Escape plug-in is $5,000 less than the RAV4 Prime. Did they know this? Did they figure it would be easier for them to sell it for less money than to spend the engineering to get the bigger incentive? I wasn't
Right.
in these meetings. I just don't
Yeah,
know.
it has a lower sticker price, but the final cost to the customer is not going to be $5,000 lower because of the incentives that we just talked about.
True.
Hey,
500.
the Escape, when it started, the Escape Hybrid, Ford had licensed that technology from Toyota.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, back in the early 2000s, yeah.
Yeah, I spoke with one of their engineers when that happened, and he said that they did develop it separately, but because it was so similar, they couldn't get around Toyota's patents in time to get to market, so they just paid up.
Sure they did.
I'm just saying what the engineer said.
Likely
Right,
story.
yeah, I heard that story as well.
I
Okay,
understand.
So, today, they're no longer licensing it. They have their own design. Is that true?
It's my understanding that they were licensing it while they did their own development, and they parted ways in the late 2000s, definitely before 2010, I believe.
Okay.
They parted ways, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know that as a fact. Someone can fact check me, but I believe it's right around that time frame that they did go two completely different ways.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, Russell?
Oh, okay.
In the back?
I'm just trying my new, ooh, call on me, teacher. So here's the thing,
Yes,
and
horse
cheers. Thank you. Oh God, that hurts. Cheers to Ford for doing this. Okay, I don't want to say anything to dissuade them from doing making better options. All that said, similar price, similar specs. Why would you go with a brand new system from Ford over a tried and true system from Toyota? Why would you go with Ford, who's got their own reliability issues, versus Toyota, who in general is well known for having very few reliability issues? The delayed comments in Skype really piss me off sometimes. That's all
he
I'm gonna
just
say.
he just typed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he just typed that? Thanks, Patrick. Thanks.
Well, okay. Let me. Well,
So that's the only thing I point out is cheers to Ford, but
exactly.
this.
No, I was gonna say I haven't driven the Ford Escape plug-in yet. I hope to be able to get my hands on a Ford Escape plug-in. I would love to see it. Let me just say that I absolutely love the Ford Fusion Titanium, the plug-in Ford Fusion. Their infotainment, their energy usage, their hybridability, their plug-in range. I love that car.
Okay.
I haven't driven the Escape yet. My wife has a 2010 Fusion Hybrid, and I actually tried to talk her into getting a newer model Fusion Hybrid because I loved it so much. If the Escape is as nice a car as the Fusion, maybe. But I would say that, for me personally, having driven a Toyota vehicle now for since 2004, so what is this, going on 16 years? I've really grown into the Toyota styling. I hate to say the Intune needs to be scrapped. But just the general styling and the sensibility that Toyota puts in their design compared to some other vehicles, I've just learned to like that. So unless the Ford Escape Hybrid is truly compelling, I'm sticking with the RAV4 Prime. But I haven't seen it yet.
So you're willing to pay that premium for the style and branding that you like?
Yeah. I suppose, yes.
You're a well-trained consumer.
I'm a
Is there-
well-trained consumer.
Most
What,
consumers
what,
are.
what would it take,
Yeah.
Tony? What kind of price difference would have to be there for you to even consider the Ford over the RAV?
Of course I would have to see it first.
Yeah.
But-
Let's say it's on par with the Fusion that you like.
Mm-hmm. If it's on par with the Fusion, it would be a very tough choice. It really would be, honestly, a tough choice, especially for $5,000 less, even with the lower incentives. Same range, same form factor, and definitely if Mark is just throwing free money at me, then yeah, but American, please. U.S. Sorry.
It's raining toonies on you.
Yeah, I still got that tuna you sent me, and quite frankly, I don't know what to do with it.
Now, for me, the question would have to be the reliability factor.
Yeah, Russell's point is a good one. Yep.
I hate to say it, but Ford definitely has a reputation. And I don't want to take on the alpha version of anything they've done. I want to wait and, go with version 2.0 or 4.0. But is it even numbered? Trek movies don't suck. So can we maybe wait until 2021 or 22 or something like that? Because if I was going to buy this, the fact that it's a Ford and the fact that, as Russell rightly pointed out, tried and true Toyota technology on this, that $5,000 savings at the list price without the incentives could be something I wind up paying out over time if it's just not a reliable vehicle.
And as much as I want to applaud Ford for bringing out a plug-in Escape, yeah, I'm still leaning toward the RAV4 because at least Toyota didn't scrap almost every sedan they sell in favor of large SUVs.
I want to say this though, that for the same reason that you're molded into the Toyota brand, this is because any car with a plug is better than a car without a plug.
Exactly. Yes.
This is now an option for somebody who's molded into the Ford way. I mean, because they were never going to shift over to a Chevy because they're Ford people, and they weren't going to do a Toyota because that's one of them foreign cars. So
that's one of them foreign cars built in Princeton, Indiana.
Yes, indeed. So I mean, they call my USA Tesla foreign car. It's made in California, but so now you've got a car with a plug that's still an SUV. that you also don't have to worry about the range anxiety. But just like we discussed last week with the RAV Prime, for the typical use case, they will use almost no fuel, and that's what we need right now because we are running up against a climate crisis, and anything we can do to pump the brakes is necessary.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
Great
you know what?
choice if you're a Ford family. Awesome.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Casey. And perhaps we're taking the wrong approach on this, comparing two nearly identical cars. But if someone is trading in an SUV and looking for a new SUV, and you're exactly right, if they're a Ford family or a Ford fan, then yes, this is another option for them to go pick up the kids and sit in line at school, drive them to soccer practice, run their daily errands, and literally consume no gasoline.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. When you're in those pickup drop-off lines, you're not going to be idling. Right. And that means you're not sitting in front of the school polluting. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, like to your point, Tony, though, if I wasn't brand loyal to either of them, I would definitely drive them both, and I would probably, if I had to have the backup of the gas generator, I'd probably be leaning at the Toyota because these are the only two really left that don't have all EV or the self-charging bullshit where they don't plug in at all. So, yeah. I mean, these are both great options, and I'm glad to see more choice out there.
Yeah.
Right. I have to wonder, I mean, did we fall for our own fallacy of, which plug-in is better instead of, like you said, any car with a plug is better than any car without?
Right. Yeah. The Ford RAV Prime killer. No, that's so dumb. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, occasionally we need to call ourselves out, and because we can be blind to these things.